Hey everyone, do I have an AI agent for you? You're watching TechStrong Gang. Happy Tuesday, everyone. It's Alan Schimmel for TechStrong Gang. Glad to have you on. You know, we've got a lot to cover today. Starting off with some agentic AI information, I'm starting to feel like I remember those people in downtown New York when I first started in tech in what we called Silicon Alley. There were guys there literally with the coats, and when you'd walk by, they'd open their coat. Do you want a watch? And they had all these watches, right? You could buy. Of course, they were real Rolexes, and it's kind of be the same thing with agentic AI. Hey, you want an AI agent? I got one for you. But we're going to dive into that and more with our outstanding gang today. Let me introduce you to them. First of all, I from the background, I'm going to guess she's home in Colorado. Analyst extraordinaire, Camberly Bates. Hey, Cam, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for next couple of weeks, I'll probably be back on the East Coast. So there you go.
Really? Oh, we're looking forward to that. There might be maybe there's a Boca trip in your future. But thanks for joining us. Moving to the East Coast of Florida, that is, in the Space Coast, Orlando area. He is a data, AI, IT expert with a long career in it. I'm my friend JP Morgenthal. Hey, JP, how are you?
Good. And I want to say good morning because that's when we're recording, but this could be seen at any time. So hope I'm doing well, and thanks for having me.
All right, good day. Does that sound kind of power grid background there?
I had the data center background, and it just looked like and I'm like, that's not me. We wanted to get something more neural networky. This is what ChatGPT came up with when I asked her for a background for this.
All right. Hey, appreciate the honesty. Very cool. All right. Moving along to Hudson, Ohio, the man from Hudson, founder of Tech Field Day, my friend Stephen Foskett. Hey, Stephen.
It is nice to be here once again. And by the way, Camberly, I do recommend taking him up on the offer of a Boca trip.
Well, truth be told, my husband's going to be down there, and I was saying, hey, could I just get a Bogart on your hotel room? And he said no. He's with his brother down there. So he said it was an absolute, it wasn't even a question mark. He said no.
Well, hotel rooms are cheap here because it is hotter than hell. Mm-hmm. And we have good corporate rates. We'll talk. Stephen, is that a ChatGPT generated background for you as well?
Yes, I said generate something that looks boring and brown.
Good for you.
It's actually a piece of paper. Here we go. Bonk.
All right. All right. Moving from Hudson to Harrison, but staying in the H's, I guess. There's no joy in Harrison after the Yankees struck out this weekend, but he's our Chief Content Officer, Mike Vizard.
That is true. And as soon as I get off this call, I'm hopping in the car and driving to Philadelphia for AWS Reinforce.
Philly. Very nice. Very nice. Say hello to all our friends in Philly. All right.
Oh, you forgot me again.
I didn't forget you. I was just going to say, sitting here in our studio with me, it's hard to forget. We're only two people on the same screen here. She is our Echo Insights analyst and advisor and editor, Bonnie Schneider. Hey, Bonnie, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Good. It's good to have you here. Okay. Go forward?
Yes.
Let's go forward now. So, Mike, I opened things up with yet another agentic AI, make it easy to do more AI agent story.
Yeah. So, as the song says, there's something happening here. And last week, Databricks was talking about how they're going to make it simpler to create these AI agents. And part of that issue is they have a large pool of data already that enterprises are also using. At the same time, Accenture is also talking about a Lego-like approach to creating AI agents and stringing them all together. And what seems to me, at least both these things have in common, is they're very enterprise-centered approaches to building out AI agents, and they're not dependent upon, outside of the LLMs, but they're not looking towards all these startups to do that. They're kind of looking into their traditional vendors. JP, I know you follow the space, but is it me, or is it going to be like really simple to create the next AI agent?
Well, I was trying to create the picture from a macro perspective, looking at Accenture AI Distillery and the announcements from Databricks, kind of in the same context. And they're really trying to approach the same audience with the same set of capabilities. Databricks, though, is a product company, and in a natural extension of what they do is to help customers leverage the existing investment in their tools and technologies, and then the natural next step is to take that data, which is housed in their products, and make it available for AI. That, to me, is a very intuitive step. It would be surprising if they weren't, providing these tools. I think they're in demand. Whereas Accenture, I tried to look into more of this distillery and refinery concept, and you get to whereas everybody else is putting out a ton of, go to my GitHub, download this, here's the free entry, the free tier. You go to Accenture, it's like, call us. So as much as I looked into it, I couldn't help but feel like Accenture is, as many system integrators, they're not alone in this. They're in a precarious spot. I think AI is affecting their business, or the belief in AI is affecting their business. I think they're trying to do everything in their power to pivot and be, to have relevance in this AI world. But I think they're going to have to step up and be more of the traditional AI community if they want that. The call me to find out more is not going to play when you have, the likes of small startups and all the model creators putting out a ton of similar type projects that you can just download either from Hugging Face or GitHub. And it's a traditional old world Accenture. I own it. You got to come to me for it. And, maybe I will force you to pay for it because you're taking my consulting services, and that's a requirement for me to do my job. It's consultingware, 3.0. But as far as getting people on board, that are not looking at Accenture, I see it as a leap right now for them to get there and to be relevant.
Alan, is JP onto something? Because historically, we needed all these consultants to kind of provide the knowledgeware, shall we call it, to leverage all the IT technologies. But if I look at these AI agents, it seems like as long as I understand my business processes, I may not need to engage with a consultant so deeply to go build something interesting.
You're always going to need a consultant, Mike. But honestly, here's the situation. I think there's a bigger issue, JP, you touched on it, around this AI stuff. Ultimately, is AI going to be the domain of giants, of the big four, the Accentures, the PwCs, et cetera, of the Mag 7, Google, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, OpenAI, I guess, is part of that royalty as it regards AI? Or is there room for new growth forests, for a bunch of saplings to come up in here? Is there a place for companies that are going to make easy to distill, easy to deploy agents that are going to do a lot of the grunt work, if you will, that Accenture does for companies, or, a lot of these bigger, consulting companies do? Because make no mistake, AI agents can really, I mean, digital workers, as we're calling them. A lot of the businesses of the Accentures and the PwCs, and quite frankly, the Beltway Mandates as well, is body shop business, right? They're putting people in butts and seats for the government, for enterprises, and charging for it. And a lot of that work could be done by digital workers. So my experience, though, tells me, and much like JP says, is, look, you're never going to eliminate these guys altogether. There's always going to be a place in the ecosystem for them. But I really am looking forward to seeing a new crop of AI-empowered startups that are pushing through the old growth, looking for the rays of the sun, and achieve escape velocity. And that, to me, is what's going to be interesting, right? Because 9 times out of 10, innovation happens at the new growth layer, not the old growth.
And any consulting firm worth their salt has gone through already a strategic process at this point in time to say, how do we re-architect the company? If you're a developer and you're a body shop and you're PwC or your Accenture and your business has been development for these companies, if they haven't sat down and gone, okay, what are the scenarios? Let's play the scenarios out from an executive standpoint. Because when you have your entire environment has changed, which fundamentally it seems to have changed for the development. I'm not a developer, but if you look at, this is one of the number one places that AI is being implemented in full force, is you have to relook at the business completely from the ground up. And where is that business and what is our service offering? I'm actually surprised that we haven't heard a lot about layoffs from those companies. And maybe I just haven't been watching for it. But that, to me, is, that is super at risk and would be the requirement of any kind of board to say, okay, so what's the strategy here?
I think Deloitte and Accenture went through a round of those layoffs 2023, 2024.
I think they went around with some more recent layoffs as well. But JP, what was also interesting at the Databricks conference is Jamie Dimon showed up. And one of the things that he said was that, at least in their organization, AI reports to the CEO and the CEO indirectly. And he said it was too important to have it report up through IT. And the perspective is that AI is going to drive business process reengineering all across the bank. And the question then becomes, what is their relationship going to be between AI and IT going forward? Are other companies going to do the same, or is AI part of the IT CIO responsibility?
But I just wrote about this. I did a LinkedIn post. I made it very clear that there needs to be you can't put this into the realm of IT. You can't just shirk this off as another IT project. This goes far beyond the realm of IT, and you end up with a different outcome and a different product when you just shrug it off that this is just yet another IT responsibility. That you won't get the value out of it that you're expecting, because it's girth and its need for understanding what feeds it is typically beyond the relationship that IT has with the rest of the organization. So what I wrote was about that, what are you missing? You're missing that bridge. You have your business analyst, right, which typically does your transcribing from the business requirements into IT requirements. But these people have not been upskilled and they don't understand what IT can do. So how do you translate to a language you don't understand yet, right? How do you go from English to Greek if you don't know Greek, right? So the typical translator can't be your translator here. Your IT people truly understand systems, but the value here is not in the systems; it's in understanding the business. And so you're missing that critical bridge if you're leading with IT in order to do your AI initiatives.
And I think that gets back to kind of what our skills are going to be needed here. I mean, you look at, as you said, JP, it's the business analyst skills. It's that, and that goes with any kind of discipline. You're talking about whether it's development side of the house, if it's a financial side of the house, if it's a sales kind of sales operations, that that analyst capability that has that expertise within that field to look at the information that's coming at them from an AI standpoint and do that analysis and provide that information becomes critical, because we do know where some, we see where some of the limitations of AI is in terms of its reasoning capability, which I talked about in another podcast, in terms of the information that it's delivering. So this, to me, is a very logical place that we're going in terms of how new packaging about how we deliver something, but it still needs the expertise of the domain.
I personally think thinking about AI just along the lines of IT is when you're a hammer, everything's a nail. So of course we look at it that way, but there's so much more that AI is going to do here in terms of disruption and effects on civilization than just IT. Not to minimize the importance of IT, but
the other thing that came out of that conference too is they invited the chief AI and data officer, which I thought was an interesting title in its own right, from MasterCard, who said that they are in the process of building AI agents that are designed to engage with other AI agents that are buying things. And so people are going to be assigning the authority to an AI agent to go buy something, at least that's what MasterCard's assuming, and the thing will have AI agents negotiating transactions back and forth. So I don't know, JP, if you're comfortable with that notion of giving an AI agent, an allowance to go buy stuff?
It's a good point, the allowance point, right? I assume there are individuals who are less concerned about the negative downside. If you're a person, you order from Amazon and you don't like what comes, you take it back over to Kohl's or UPS store, you drop it off and you get it returned, and there's no cost. So I think the risk of acquiring goods and that cannot be returned. So it depends on where you are from a level of what you're purchasing. I wouldn't allow it. I wouldn't hook it to my WTI crude and have to accept 20 barrels of crude to my house, which oddly enough, I learned early in my career, it can happen if you play around in WTI crude trades and you don't trade for the execution of your stock. You actually end up having to take delivery. I'm sure it's happened to people, but so yeah. So I don't think MasterCard's funding that, or it's not like a new. How did this BMW show up? I love the commercial for this, right? New BMW shows up in the driveway. Who bought this? And you hear like a little Alexa thing in the background go, well, I did. For you. Yeah. So I mean, it's I think visionary. I don't think it's there yet. I know people are using subscription-based models already on Amazon and Chewy and other places like that. So this is yet possibly yet another attempt to mitigate or negotiate better pricing. Your procurement agent, if you will, right? Last week, this was cheaper on Amazon. This week, it's cheaper at Chewy. So instead of me putting the subscription with those services, I'm now going to watch the prices and procure for you. All that seems very reasonable within the realm of something I would trust AI to deliver today.
I agree. All right. My AI agent is telling me we've gone over our allotted time for this, and I need to take a break. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk about what's going on at NOAA with our sustainability analyst, Bonnie Schneider. You're watching TechStrong Gang.